On December 5, 1945, five TBM Avenger torpedo bombers lifted off from Fort Lauderdale, Florida, for what should have been a routine training mission. They were set to fly east, run a mock bombing drill, and be back on base in a few hours. They never returned. 14 men vanished. Then, a rescue plane sent to find them, a PBM Mariner with a crew of 13, also disappeared. In a single afternoon, 27 naval aviators were seemingly wiped off the face of the earth. The official Navy story is a tragic, but simple, case of human error. They got lost, the weather turned, and they ran out of fuel. But that straightforward explanation has never quite squared with the strange details from that day. The legends that grew around Flight 19, born from declassified reports and frantic radio calls, paint a far stranger picture, one that has kept this mystery alive for nearly 80 years. The mission was called Navigation Problem Number 1, a standard 3-hour exercise these pilots had done before. The planes were TBM Avenger stuff, reliable workhorses of the U.S. Navy that had served well in World War II. The man in charge was Lieutenant Charles Carroll Taylor, a veteran instructor with over 2,500 flying hours, leading 13 other men. He had a simple flight plan: fly 141 miles east, turn north for 73 miles, and then cut back southwest for the final 140-mile leg home to Fort Lauderdale. For the first hour and a half, everything seemed fine. They reached their target and dropped their practice bombs. But then, around 3:45 p.m., the control tower got a call from Taylor, sounded worried, stating, "Cannot see land. We seem to be off course." This is where the official story starts to get complicated, and where the questions begin. The first major question mark is Taylor himself. He was an experienced combat pilot, yet he was suddenly lost on a routine flight. His next transmission was even more bizarre. He told the tower, "Both of my compasses are out, and I am trying to find Fort Lauderdale, Florida. I am over land, but it's broken. I am sure I'm in the Keys." This made absolutely no sense. To be over the Florida Keys, they would have had to fly in the completely wrong direction from the start. Taylor was over the Keys. He could have used the setting sun to his west to get his bearings. But he seemed convinced he was over the Gulf of Mexico, a fatal error that likely led him to fly further into the open Atlantic. And it wasn't just his compass. He was leading a flight of 5 planes, all with their own instruments. While military discipline may have kept the other pilots from breaking formation, radio chatter revealed growing confusion. One pilot was reportedly heard saying, "Damn it, if we would just fly west, we would get home. Head west, damn it." But Taylor overruled him. As the afternoon wore on, the weather, which had been manageable, began to deteriorate significantly. Ground control desperately tried to get Taylor to use his emergency homing device, which could have guided them back. For reasons still unknown, he never switched it on. The Navy's investigation first blamed Taylor for pilot error, but his family fought back, arguing, "You can't blame a man when there's no plane and no body." The Navy eventually amended the report, and the official cause for the disappearance of Flight 19 is now listed as reasons or causes unknown. It's in that void of the unknown that the wilder theories took root. The official records are full of these strange inconsistencies, which is what makes this case so compelling. If you find mysteries like this as fascinating as I do, stick around for more stories that time has tried to forget. So let's talk about where the story goes once it leaves the official reports. What if the compass malfunctions and the pilot's deep confusion weren't just technical or human error? This is where the legend of Flight 19, a cornerstone of Bermuda Triangle lore, truly begins. Some of the reported radio transmissions were not just confused, they were genuinely weird. One pilot was allegedly heard saying, "Everything is wrong. We can't be sure of any direction. Everything looks strange, even the ocean." This sounds less like a lost pilot and more like someone whose reality is warping. This has led paranormal theorists to ask a chilling question. What if Flight 19 wasn't T alone out there? It's the most famous quote. "Don't come after me. They look like they're from outer space," has become a key part of the folklore. It's crucial to know this quote appears in no official Navy record and is almost certainly a later embellishment to sell magazines and books. But it perfectly captures the theory that has stuck around for decades, that the planes were lured to their doom. Not by a faulty compass, but by some unseen force. This theory gets a dose of eerie credibility when you look at what happened next. At 7:27 p.m., a PBM Mariner flying boat with 13 men aboard took off to find the lost squadron. 23 minutes later, it vanished from radar. Its official and most likely explanation is that the Mariner, nicknamed the Flying Gas Tank, exploded in midair. A nearby ship reported seeing a fireball and an oil slick right where the Mariner disappeared. But the timing is haunting. 27 men in 6 aircraft, all lost within hours in the same patch of ocean. A coincidence or a pattern? The search was one of the largest in history at the time, covering over 300,000 square miles of ocean for 5 days. They found nothing. No confirmed wreckage, no life rafts, no bodies. It was as if they had simply flown through a hole in the sky. The most logical explanation is a cascade of failures. An experienced pilot makes a critical error. His compasses fail. Bad weather rolls in. His crew, bound by protocol, follows him into a turbulent sea where they run out of fuel. The rescue plane suffers a mechanical failure and explodes. It's a plausible, if tragic, sequence of events. But it requires everything to go wrong in the worst possible way. It requires 5 separate, highly trained flight crews to become so disoriented that not one of them could figure out how to fly west. It asks us to believe they ignore standard procedures and fly 4 hours into the empty ocean, even as some of their own voices protested they were going the wrong way. When you look past the easy answers, you're left with the unsettling heart of the mystery. The paranormal theories are extraordinary, but are they any more extraordinary than 5 military aircraft vanishing without a single confirmed trace? The story of Flight 19 endures not just because it's spooky, but because the rational explanations leave so much unanswered. They don't fully account for the sheer strangeness in the pilot's transmissions. It's a complete breakdown of both technology and instinct, and the chilling efficiency with which 27 men were erased from existence. For nearly 80 years, the ocean has kept its secrets. Wreckage of TBM Avengers has been found, but their serial numbers have never matched those of the lost squadron. The planes are still ghosts, their final moments an echo across time. The easy answer is they got lost and crashed. But the unsettling details, the bizarre transmissions, the compass failures, the feeling that something more was at play suggest a far stranger story. Were the pilots of Flight 19 victims of a perfect storm of bad luck and bad weather? Or did they follow something else into the unknown? What do you think really happened out there? Let me know your theories down in the comments.